Welcome to Fine Line Station, where I read out letters and emails sent by you, the listeners. They are real life stories about the uncanny, the creepy, and the unknown. I am your host, Charlie Fox, and I hope you're ready to tune in. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have an email sent in by the username dreamingmore. I've mentioned it before, but when choosing the stories I read out, I tend to only skim read it at first, just to make sure there isn't anything overtly explicit to share on the show. I love fully immersing myself in the stories when reading them out, so both the listeners and I can appreciate them fully for the first time together. This one caught my eye and I put it aside for today's episode. This person discusses their dreams and how they sometimes see more than the average person. While I'm not at your level, I also have strange dreams sometimes, though perhaps my interests don't help with that. So with that, let's take a wander through their story. I am someone who has always had really vivid dreams. Ever since I was a kid, I would be able to recall most of what I dreamt that night. It was always an interesting mix of things, usually filled with bright colours and scenes that flicked by like watching a movie sped up. Half the time I would be seeing through the eyes of whoever I was in this dream, and the other half I would watch the story play out like I was attending a performance. I would dream of all sorts of things. Sometimes it was a simple passage of images showcasing a place I'd been before or a nonsensical conversation with someone from my past. Other times it was more adventurous and it felt like the dream had gone on for hours as the cast and I explored different places and solved clues towards the mystery. It was honestly quite exhausting. I often joke that these longer, more action-packed dreams leave me tired when I wake up. It's like a different version of me has popped into another world instead of resting, and I feel like I myself have actually gone through it all. I do lucid dream as well. I don't remember when it started, but at some point I was able to tell when I was in a dream. Sometimes it's an outright thought where I know what's around me isn't real, while other times it's just a vague sense that I am still asleep. It's weird though, because even though I know it's a dream, it still feels just as important that I continue on or play the role I've been thrust into. Some think lucid dreaming means you can control your dreams, but that's a different skill, usually referred to as dream control. Lucidity just means you are aware that your body is asleep and that you are dreaming. This is actually most likely why I feel tired when I wake up. Lucid dreaming can interfere with you reaching your deep REM sleep, and the constant brain stimulation can affect me from actually feeling rested. I don't have complete dream control, but instead just change small moments here and there and control myself and my actions, not the world around me. If something goes wrong, whether it's a more violent dream or something in me knows it's the wrong path I'm taking, I am able to rewind back to a point to choose a different direction. Think of it like a save point that I can go back to and try something different. For instance, if I have people chasing me in my dream and I manage to back myself into a corner where I will be caught, I can rewind time to before I turn down a blocked off corridor and pick a different route. Sometimes it takes more effort than other times. In some cases it's done instantly and I am able to smoothly move into the different story beats, but other times I have to tightly close my eyes and almost physically push the dream into submission and let me move back in time. I still get nightmares, unfortunately. When I was really young, my parents told me I used to have night terrors. I would only partially wake up, but be in a state of panic or pure fear. I would shake and whine until suddenly I would stop, calm down, and go right back to sleep. The first time it happened, I was only a few years old, and it freaked my parents out. But they grew used to it as the years went on. Those early night terrors are actually the few dreams I don't remember at all, but I think that's pretty common for them. Nowadays I just get the usual nightmares where my teeth fall out or I get lost in a place I don't know. Sometimes they are more gruesome. I'm still aware I'm dreaming, but it's almost like it doesn't matter. You can know when a film isn't real, but the themes or jump scares can still trick your brain to feel those emotions. I am also affected by what's going on in my life, just like everyone else. If I am stressed socially or made a mistake at work, if I'm worried about an interaction I had or anxious about an upcoming event, those stresses do make themselves known in my dreams. They don't often make much sense, but small moments like losing my keys or someone yelling at me will appear in my normal dreams. Small things that make dreaming less peaceful. In theory, you can really help these anxiety-induced dreams with mindfulness tasks, things like a consistent sleep schedule and routine, relaxation and meditation methods, all the usual stuff. I know a lot of friends where this helps them out greatly, but it's never quite worked for me. It's always a mixed bag when I share this information with the people around me. My parents are used to me sharing strange bits and pieces from my dreams and how I experienced them, but as I got older I stopped sharing as much. An odd dream here and there makes a good story, but really that's all they are. Fantastical stories your brain comes up with to help you process information, right? I could tell they were getting a bit bored with me bringing it up every morning, so I would only share the truly bizarre ones occasionally. My friends were kind of similar, but every now and then one of them would experience one of the things I do, whether it was lucid dreaming or the ability to rewind time. For a long while, I assumed everyone dreamt the same way I did. It's a naive kid way of viewing the world. I mean, I also thought that every family had a dog, like it was an unspoken rule, but of course it wasn't. I flipped perspectives then, assuming that I was the only one like this, until I found people who dreamt like I did. That being said, I have never found someone who is exactly like me, and so there are two more things I'd like to share with you. I'm sure you've heard of déjà vu before, that feeling you get when you're sure this has happened before, but it hasn't. To me, it always felt like two memories were overlapping each other, like when film is exposed to two different scenes. The false memory that this has happened before and the actual moment playing out in front of me. It's an illusion, of course, just a familiar something that attaches itself to one of your senses and activates a weird part of your brain. I didn't realize this until looking it up, but extreme cases of déjà vu could potentially be a sign of epilepsy, which was a scary thought. I do get déjà vu often. I joke every time it's because we're in the Matrix, of course, but usually it's to hide how it puts me on edge for the next half hour. Sometimes it can be so intense, I have to take a moment and breathe through it and stress to myself that it's not real. It will pass. I've never had a panic attack, but I wonder if it's a similar feeling to that, just on a smaller scale. It actually took me a little while to realize this next part, but it clicked when I visited a recreation hall on a school trip. I had never visited this place before, but as soon as I walked in and saw the dark wood staircase leading upwards, I got a major sense of déjà vu. Or, well, I later found out the term is actually déjà rêve. It has a few meanings, but the most relevant one to me is being able to recall a specific dream. In this case, I was able to recall a dream I had maybe 9 months ago where I was looking into a haunted house. Not very original, but the dream had been action-packed and fun to be part of. The reason I had thought of it now was because it had taken place at that exact hall I now found myself in. While my dreams sometimes lacked details like specific paintings in a frame or what flowers were used as decorations, I swear the colours, textures and shapes of this place matched up perfectly with what I had dreamed. The feeling was overwhelming, and like usual I had to catch my breath. I shared with my friend who I was with, but they thought I must have visited the place when I was younger. I knew I hadn't. That was the first time I realised I dreamed of a place that existed and I had never been to. I'm sure you're thinking it was a fun coincidence, and for someone who dreams as much as me, that it was bound to happen at some point. There is a misconception that you can only dream of places you have been or of people you know, but that's false. Just like how you can write a fictional story, your brain can create a fictional setting. Had this been the only time, or maybe if it happened a few more times, I would have agreed with you. But once I realised I could dream of real places I'd never been, it's like the floodgates opened. Suddenly, every time I went to a new place, there was almost a 30% chance that I had previously dreamed about it. It was small things, like a new cafe where the tables were perfectly arranged like I remembered, or visiting a new friend's house for the first time and knowing the exact layout of each room. I remember sharing my déjà rêve with a different friend, and she thought it was cool and mentioned maybe I could predict the future like a prophetic dream. It's a cool idea, but I didn't agree with her, of course. I don't think I was predicting the future. If I did dream of something that then happened soon after, it was very easy to put it down as coincidence. That didn't stop me from trying to dream of the lotto numbers for the next week, but no such luck, unfortunately. While this was an unnerving talent I apparently had, and it still freaked me out sometimes, just like anything that happens often enough, I got used to it. Years passed and I continued my odd dream behaviour. The next thing I had noticed that had changed about my dream memories were when I had visited my new neighbours for the first time. I had luckily found a small affordable house in the hills and snatched it up quickly. After moving in and having my usual foray of dreams, I finally introduced myself to the older couple to the right of my house. They kindly invited me in and gave me a brief tour of their recent renovations. As it often was now, I was already familiar with their home from previous dreams. Still, it was nice hearing their back and forth chats float around me, and I finally felt relaxed after the stress of moving. They led me to their backyard and the lady showed off her roses. I blame the fact I was exhausted that I asked to see the small creek running from their house to mine. They looked at me in surprise, and it took me a moment to realise there was no creek at their place, let alone mine. Eventually the man laughed slightly awkwardly and said that decades ago when they had bought this land, they got the creek filled in and sold off the smaller portion of land to build a house on it, the one I now owned. They asked if I had done research on the place due to concerns about the pipes that now run through where the creek was. I told them of course not, I had accidentally mixed up their house with a different similar one I had viewed before. Heading home, I was confused. Yes, my déjà rêve didn't always show me every detail of these new places, but I'd never had a moment where it had a major feature, like a creek, that was incorrect and didn't line up with the real world. It missed details, sure, but it hadn't ever added to the places before. I tried to shake it off, but it popped up again. A few weeks later, I was back visiting my parents and remembered a dream where there had been a giant tree out the back. My mum turned to me with wide eyes and said that when they had first bought the house, way before I was even a thought, they had removed the giant tree due to the potential of it dropping branches onto the roof and surrounding fences. She hadn't thought of that tree in a very long time and asked how I knew. Again, I lied about it. And so, I could now apparently dream of what once was. I thought that would be it, but of course, a new recent dream made an appearance. A local flower shop opened nearby, and I asked if they had ever considered a different building as flashes of a dream memory showed them across the road at a different plaza. She tilted her head in confusion but answered yes. It was between this building and the one aforementioned one, but this one was slightly larger. I had somehow dreamt about her other choice. Not only am I seeing the past in my dreams, I'm also seeing what could have been. I wonder if any of your listeners can relate to me. Maybe someone out there also dreams like this. Oh, I have another reason to reach out to you, Charlie. I think I dreamt of you and your studio. I see you and your blonde hair sitting behind a cluttered old wooden desk. I see the studio equipment and red on-air sign. The dream moves back and I see your assistant with his dark hair and green eyes as he counts you in. The dream pulls back even more and I see your studio. From the outside, I see... Ooh, okay, excuse me, I'll have to stop reading there. Dreaming More goes on to list some pretty specific details about the exterior of the studio I record in, and it's probably best I keep that location private. Had I not read your entire story, I would be concerned how you know this much detail. Still a little unnerving, I won't lie, but I'll take your story at face value and assume you did actually dream of it all. Which, if that is the case, is still quite wild in itself. Thank you for sharing your story. I had not heard of déjà rêve before and it was very interesting hearing your experiences with it. Catch me probably having very weird dreams tonight. This has been another broadcast by Fine Line Station. I'm Charlie Fox and I'll speak to you next time.